which people about my age or younger will hear that and say, yeah, what does that mean? But the home generation is like, oh my God, their names are good night and good luck. Period. And we're all over the place.
Did you find your drawstring?
No.
What do you need us to do? So you want to land it like that?
Well,
No. So this won't do it for you.
no.
No, you don't. Not today. It's not in the rule book.
Good morning, everyone. I keep saying good morning because you know why. But it is afternoon. The afternoon it is. And as you are welcome here. Visit a friend or long you with partner. We joyfully welcome you here. You are welcome here as believer or doubter, as joiner or owner. You are feeling a part of us or not, energy or not, seeking a vision or a rest. You are welcome to join us as you are. We acknowledge the territories of the Salish, Nez Perce, Blackfeet, and Anishinaabe people who shared the Helena Valley's hunting valley began long before. Honor the path their whole lives, shutting their eyes to the for the people who took this land or talked about this. Maybe you thought I was too young to understand. Changed hundreds of years valley named and paved. I honor those who have gone before. Chalice, words, and Sam is going to come and ignore us. Sam, who had a birthday this week, right? The 20th. Oh, is it? Our with joys and sorrows, gifts and beacon of hope, sign of our quest for truth and meaning, celebration of the life together. Now, hymn, it's number 123 in Singing the Living Tradition, Spirit of Life. And to pledge season, that stuff that happens the year, new member season, new board member season, it all comes at us all blur. But this afternoon we went to the share your time, talent, and treasure, and Marianne about why she does that.
I tried to print this off. The printer didn't work. It's one of those days, so forgive me. Almost everything I read today focus always so much from this community. I very much want to help this fellowship continue to be a positive force and in your life. Returning from missionary work in Paraguay, and that effort was sponsored by both the Congregational and for many remember and the economy crash in 2008, and we back. Not happy in Asuncion, but we did 3 years of good work under the Christian umbrella. We came back to the city, and the Christians in Asuncion spent the next 3 months dismantling that Paul had worked for years. So, the Christian. In the depths of Wyoming, which is where we relocated for spiritual support, and went to, just didn't have it. When we were finally able to purchase a home again, we moved to a neighborhood where the UU church was, and I would walk past the church. And the first thing that invited me in was the gardens, native planted. And when I first walked in, it was not at first sight. He was a lovely person, but this very intellectual message. I thought, oh, I'm in the wrong place again. But I wasn't. Because the music spoke to me, and the words surrounding the message spoke to me. The man that was next to me was amazing, and it turns out we still know we'll go on vacation with him. So naturally, Helena, the UU place was the first place I was to. And of course, we moved in July. I was meeting in July. But you have to have patience. You don't get community on the first try. You have to invest yourself in it. You have to be patient. Take up too much time, but have been patient, and community fills my soul. Try and do everything to keep this community vibrant and running, and money. So that is why I pledge. That's why I'll pledge. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mary Ann. I've always loved part of pledge season when we share these things. The thing is always, here's why you pledge, with and here's why you define your own reasons. We aren't asking anyone to do something for the same reason someone else does. We want you to find it yourself, your reason. Same way with our, we tell people this is what I believe, but we don't tell people, and here's why you should believe it too. Here's what I believe, and I hope you find what you believe. So thank you, Mary Ann. Next. Yes, absolutely. Carolyn added that Mary Ann has been a blessing to this congregation. Has been for many years and will continue as long. And now is the time for us to share our joys and concerns with the agenda. This is live on YouTube. Internet offers. There will be a time at the end of the service for sharing more private joys and concerns.
My name is Nikki, and some of you, those of you that are in coffee group, are aware that my work with the Heart organization, waiting and waiting for family, the Kabir coming from Pakistan. They got delayed, and so through those 3 delays, I ended up being the case manager for the local family. But I made the Kabiri friends, and they're here. So they've been here for 1 month, and this is Sabrina, Imran, Sabor, John, and we just a joy. Charlotte isn't feeling well. I had to just drop her off at home, but she wanted to be here too. So I just wanted to say I'm so happy to have lives, even though I'm not a manager. So I just get to be their friend. So I'm happy you're here. And I love Mary Ann.
I have the joy that I get to be here with all of you, and that I also got yesterday.
I have a joy that almost all of us are.
Concern, and that turned into a joy. We had a scare with on Friday. He's fine, and he's home watching the football game, and it happened. So it's a joy to know that that was not really that serious.
And we hold in our hearts all those unspoken concerns. Now is going to be the time for our offering, followed by loving hands from the Open Your Heart Songbook, page 25. Thank you for your gifts this day and gifts of action that make this community possible. If you are visiting, please gift to us. And so we're going to have our board president to the microphone. Handle that.
Where is she? Oh, there she is.
A PowerPoint runner. We're multitasking her today, as one does.
At least once a year, we go on a membership drive and look at people in our fellowship who may make the next step. Membership. It's not really that big a deal, but it's kind of an advanced commitment from casual. And it's joy. Welcome people who want to get closer. So today, we have Catherine Trucano, who's making the leap. So I'd like to welcome her and invite her to join. And you'll see in your order of service the BSUU covenant. And I had a chance to read it, but I thought today of all days would be a good day to do that. So Catherine, please join. So this is all ad lib. The script at home. I have it. Oh, Mackenzie. Mackenzie is the vice president of our fellowship, and I did ask her to help out, and I didn't know it was going to be this. Thank you. So we never really know the fate and luck it is that brings certain people together in this world for any purpose. But we membership in this church calls each of us here to celebrate the fate that has drawn us together and to regard each other as a spiritual friend. So I don't know how many of you know much about her, but I've asked her to introduce herself.
In 3 minutes or less. I don't know where to start. I will say that give you some background on my spiritual life. I was raised Catholic, and then I had a very long bout in New Age cults. And then at that time, I became an interfaith minister, where I learned all world religions. For myself for a while to discover myself. I actually was a postman time in the Episcopalian church there. And I was actually hanging out with you guys almost 10 years ago when I first came to Helena, and then I just wasn't ready yet, and then it took me 10 years to come back. I am here now, and I definitely enjoy being part of it. Tell you about my family. I'll just say, professionally, I have an engineering degree, undergrad. So I actually wrote a lot of software, worked with and then I also got into web design and all that stuff. So if you see me mess with technology, it's just because it's easy breezy for me. And I'm also a mental health therapist now, with families and individuals. And that was 2 minutes, I think.
One thing I know about Catherine, she's really a woman who notices detail. So it's quite a gift. Do you want to do this part?
Members of this congregation, we know that we can rely on the wisdom of our covenant, which reminds us of our true purpose in being together. Will you accept, Catherine, the responsibilities of this covenant by affirming and promoting them? Will the congregation please rise and join together with our newest church members in affirming the covenant found in your order of service?
Please speak together. We welcome. Come to us. We respect diversity and accept our differences. We commit to equity and justice. We build trust through active listening and compassionate communication. We make decisions collaboratively and democratically. We approach conflict with curiosity and patience. We remain in relationship, and we respond to tension as we welcome Catherine to our with the traditional beautiful flower. drenched in symbolism. I see it's a blood red.
Yay! This is the color of my winter coat.
Welcome, Catherine. Now I'm going to invite all the young'uns up for this. A book I found at our library here in town called Rocky. It's a new book by two women, and I'm not making this up, are named Good Night and recently, I think it was American Heritage Month, and at least Liam and Vivian's school had some events involved with that, in Rock Your Mocks Day.
We rocked our mocks. We wore our mocks just.
And what if you didn't have mocks?
We would wear orange or turquoise.
Okay. We're stepping out and kicking it up. It's a rockin' day.
Rock your mocks.
Across Turtle Island and across indigenous nations, at schools in cities and towns, there's a celebration beginning. We're styling today as we rock our mocks.
Rock our moccasins.
We rock our mocks with pride. Kaya strikes a pose in her Yurok mocks. Tuktuk, who is Inupiaq, slips on his Kamipiaq, then gives his dad a high five.
Rock your mocks.
We rock our mocks with style. Alyssa's Colville beads show colors. Riley tips his Little Shell Chippewa swag. Moccasins made with deer, elk, moose, laughter. With skilled hands and knowledge passed down, moccasins are works of art we wear, so we rock our mocks.
We rock our moccasins.
We rock our mocks because they are a precious gift. They are precious gifts. Babies enter the world, are thankful. Kalen curls his toes in his first Navajo mocks. Some mocks are down, but Povi's Hopi-Tiwa mocks are traced by Messiah.
Rock your moccasins.
Rock our mocks as art. Forrest, his Hidat mocks are a blend of colors and shapes.
Rock your mocks. Your moccasins.
Maria, who is Osage, springs up and does.
Rock your moccasins.
With memories, moccasins connect us to our past. We honor traditions while adapting to our sacred present as we rock our mocks.
Rock your moccasins.
We rock our mocks and know our identity. Standing tall, a Juak and his classmates count Ojibwe. Ellie leans forward and listens to stories.
Rock your moccasins.
We rock our mocks as community. Tristan from the Seminole tribe plays tag under the Chickies. Tuscarora twins Kayla and Kylie wiggle sing their clan song.
Rock your moccasins.
With fringe swaying, poles singing, we jump higher, run faster, and with our moves, we are unstoppable.
Rock your moccasins.
With beauty on our feet, we love who we are, and we keep stepping into the future. We rock our minds.
Rock your moccasins.
Everybody. Peace and love go with you. Peace and love go with you. All right, I wanted to do something a little unusual to start my message, and that is to start out asking if anyone had any that they cultural appropriation, if they have any curiosities, this curiosity or even ignorance. I just already know and already believe. We're here to comfort the afflicted and afflict the comfortable. So I wanted to know if anyone had any opening curiosities or anything that they wanted to comment on about the idea of cultural appropriation. Here in the front, Becky, we got Cass.
So the notion of cultural appropriation to be easy to understand in the broad form, confusing in the small form. And so I wonder if calling on historical traditions that we're very familiar with, Santa Claus, for instance, cultural appropriation of the Norsemen, where do we draw the line?
I really love the designs that so many indigenous peoples have in clothing, especially, and jewelry. And I like to imitate them. We were at the folk festival in Butte last summer, and I was looking at some of these ribbon skirts that the women were making and selling. And I asked this one lady, so at what point, if I were to make one of these skirts and wear it, would that be a misappropriation? And she said, it would be a misappropriation if you made of them or made even one and sold it, and you make one yourself, that's okay.
Is Rock Your Mocks. We had people who are not innocent, you could tell, trying our clothing, our stuff, and it just didn't feel other things like that. Different, and so we had wild in their hair and stuff, and try to do like a yoga in the hallway, trying to do. We sometimes it just felt wrong. Showing that's not.
All right. The best place to start out is with a good definition of cultural appropriation. I have this one from Encyclopedia Britannica, who says, cultural appropriation takes place when members of a majority group adopt cultural elements of a minority group in an exploitative, disrespectful, stereotypical way. Understand its definition of culture itself. Historically, finding exactly what culture is hasn't been easiest to most quoted anthropologists. Come Burnett Tyler, and one who said that culture is the complex whole which includes knowledge and any other abilities and habits acquired by man as a member of society. And you specified that culture is biologically inherited. It's when and then they get to a few different ways that cultural appropriation can happen. Group, the culture of a minority group is cultural appropriation. A member of a majority group, culture of a minority, culture of a minority appropriation. A member of a majority, a cultural element group from its original meaning, appropriation. A member of a majority element of a minority culture without consequences, the same cultural as cultural appropriation. Examples for all of those, but I think the only one that really might need examples is this last one. Dreadlocks, to where people have some time when minority cultures, especially black people, have worn dreadlocks. It has resulted in school expulsion. It has resulted in denial of hiring or promotion. There are definite consequences to the culture that it came from, aspect of playing it. Those repercussions really happen to those who approach. Also, the big issues with cultural appropriation people may feel is really what damage is done. And for that, I spoke to author Allie Henney, who I discovered on Facebook's her does issues. She on Facebook she calls herself anti-oppression podcaster, faith leader. Her actual biography says she wrote the book Shut Up, which I library here and working through it. Of divinity and is a vice of a black the empowering black Christians from racism. She has been leading conversations since 2014 about race on social media. Video earlier this week for about where we about cultural appropriation and in general to Unitarian Universalists. With this often creates what I call harms, interconnected and often sources of harm that exacerbate a larger injustice. Some harms may be larger or more visible, while others are less perceptible but still present. This creates a series. So, in the of dealing with racism and of through attitudes of imperialism, cultural really help that, especially when to acknowledge. I mean, how long did it for the Washington football team to change their team name? How long did it take for the Cleveland baseball team to change their name? Why hasn't the Atlanta baseball their name? Or traditional Native American weapon as their symbol for their team? And it's not exactly the villain in these situations. You might recall about a year ago when I first did a service on appropriation, it began the seeing that the Unitarian Universalist Association asked UUs not holiday that is appropriated the traditions. And the holiday itself was invented in people started trying to call it out for being appropriative cultures. 3 voice, so sometimes correcting take a long time. Who don't want to see say, well, what's the harm? And that was basically the response that the UUA gave back in 2009. This service world sorry, I'm almost there. They're not intentional, says Marshall. There's been a bit of discussion about appropriation of other holidays. Are being who is saying this. They're dehumanizing the speakers. It's not the Kansas concluded in online. It will definitely not a celebration. It seems a way to find commercialization of our culture, introduce family ritual into homes, and deepen UU's understanding of our principles all at the same time. True. It's Jewish or lots of traditions. Whether it contributes to constellation. Also, when I spoke about cultural appropriation last year, I presented a between appropriation myself with the theory on the subject. I've learned it's more appropriate to contrast with cultural appreciation. Did you mean cultural appropriation? They're the same thing. With this question, the answer from last year remains true. So it was clear that there was an invitation to appreciate indigenous culture, to look at cultural artifacts and learn about their meaning in culture. What there wasn't, however, was an invitation to non-indigenous own moccasins, or to adorn an article from a different culture, removed from its cultural significance, and paraded around like a costume to show respect for or to spread awareness of indigenous culture. It is important that we understand the scope of any invitation to another culture that has been accepted. Have we been invited to become educated with the specific intent that we will then imitate what we have learned and educate others? Or is the invitation we have been given only to observe and appreciate, to enrich our own understanding and appreciation? In my conversation with Allie Henney, She had done a little reading, caught up on the idea of chalaka and cultural appropriation in the context of Unitarian Universalism, something we frequently get accused of because of our faith traditions being sourced in so many different other faith traditions. And she called it sounds like it might lead to a little bit of a white savior type complex, to where I found out about this different minority religion or this different minority culture, and I have to tell people about it. I have to be the one to spread the knowledge and let this culture be known about. And she said, you have to ask yourself, did the other culture ask you to do that? Why can't they do it themselves if they want to? It's just as easy to create a space for someone from come and let you know the culture what they want you to know. And there might be some things about their culture they want to keep to themselves. So again, that's an issue where it's important to pay attention to the invitation that you're given to other cultures. As Allie also wrote in her book, we don't often perceive a constant harms because we struggle to recognize the relationship between us. We might be able to discern immediate cause and effect relationships, but we struggle to connect effects to causes that are removed from the initial incident. Like stars in the night sky, the constellations are only visible if you know what you're looking for. But once you know what you're looking at, the night sky never looks the same. And it's much like the statement given by the UUA in regards to chalaka. In spaces, people often say, when you know better, do better. And I will open up questions, comments, discussion.
Thanks, Greg. I think this is really, really conversations to have, and I wrestle with a lot of these things. I think your definition was really great. Write that down and actually read it again, because it was a lot to think about. All of the different forms. I think I've really kind of wrestled with what exactly is cultural appreciation, and like how do we appreciate without appreciating. But I've noticed this is coming up a lot in the like integrative medicine world, and we are, as a culture of healers, we're realizing that our system is broken, our medical system is broken, and we don't have tools to help people in ways that are like from pharmaceuticals. And so I'm seeing a lot of my peers in healthcare discovering these other tools, even meditation. These are practices from other cultures that are not our own. Meditation, breath work, even like I'm seeing in the healthcare, OBGYN, maternal medicine, I'm seeing a lot of my peers take like Ayurvedic postpartum care and learning Ayurvedic care and trying to incorporate these other cultures and into their own practice. Okay, we need something. Our system is broken. Like, how do we tread this ground without appropriating these other practices? Closing of womb ceremonies. There's so many ceremonies and rituals that I'm running into that people are practicing, and it's like, wow, this is beautiful and healing, and our culture is really broken without these tools. But how do we, incorporate them without appropriating them? That's my thought. My other thought is, I think a lot of reasons why white people appropriate other people's culture is because they actually are super disconnected from their own, because we've all walked away from it. Ancestors walked away from our culture a long time ago. And I think that it is really important for our children to be redefining our family culture values. Like, what do we believe? What are our values? And what culture do we celebrate? So that we don't have other people's cultures. Like, And yeah, I could talk about this for a long time, but I have a lot of questions about creating and finding our own culture and our own families and with our children, and so that we have thriving lives, meaningful lives.
Hi, it's me again. In German class, we things that are usually just German culture, and sometimes it feels a little much. Like we take some of their traditions of making lanterns and we copy ones we find online and we do their songs and things. And we were doing one for St. Martin's Day, I believe it was what it was called. And it was supposed to be a day of when people got to go home and stuff from war and actually got homes and stuff, and it was around Christmas time, so like, yay, it's St. Martin's Day, St. Martin did it. But it didn't really pertain to us because we were just having a history lesson, and instead of learning about it and appreciating it, we became it. And we had someone dress up as the German soldier that was the first one to come home on the horse, and we had it go around the school with us in our lanterns and sing, and it didn't feel quite right, even though I am from German descent. It didn't feel quite right for everyone doing it.
I just think it's important to remember that imitation isn't a necessary part of learning about a different culture, for sure. And also a problem with the way that at least Liam and Vivian's school did Rock Your Mocks Day, to where they changed it from where it's an invitation to appreciate, but not necessarily an invitation to participate. It's an invitation to indigenous culture to rock their mocks and perhaps explain the meaning behind it to people who are not part of that culture. But I don't think it was meant to be an invitation to go get some mocks or something like that. So I think it's been taken a bit in the wrong direction after being placed in the hands of well-meaning white people.
We're about to enter a huge example of appropriation. Christmas started out as a mass to celebrate the birth of Jesus Christ and has turned into a celebration of commercialism and laws. And it shows how appropriation dilutes the original custom.
Years ago, I did a service about Kwanzaa, and I had a Kwanzaa log that was drilled to hold the Kwanzaa candles. They were in the appropriate colors and lit at the appropriate time, well, not at the appropriate time since it's a 7-day festival. But this question came up about whether I was of cultural appropriation. I went back to the professor of Black Studies that invented the holiday, and that question had come up for him before, and he said that no, if it's a question of respecting and demonstrating the ceremonies and the culture. And by the way, Kwanzaa is a cultural holiday, it's not a religious holiday. But he's in favor of it, so that white people could understand what it was all about.
I think probably the operative part of the definition there that was Encyclopedia Britannica appropriation is it needs to be appropriated in an exploitative, disrespectful, or stereotypical way. And it sounds like it wasn't necessarily any of those. So probably, I would say not appropriation.
So I have a question about, we have characterized our country historically as a melting pot and have welcomed people from all over the world. And as time goes by, eventually there's pollination of different traditions and so forth, and embrace them as if they've always been there. And that's one part of my thought. The other part is that the world of art. So I've practiced art my entire life. That is that you get inspired by other people's art. And it's frowned upon to actually copy somebody's idea, but being inspired by it and doing a variation or a further image of it is welcome. Good that that's how we operate, is that we take in so much stimulation and so many ideas, and then we put them through our own consciousness and something new emerges. And I think of that somewhat as the melting pot idea, that happens there too. And something about accusing someone of cultural appropriation, I can see where if somebody steals a culture's idea and commercializes it, that's abhorrent, really. I think there's a amount of gray zone, and that often using ideas from other cultures is because you love them, you celebrate them, you want to experience them yourself. You think it's a great idea. And particularly this notion of health practices, that in my opinion, the US health system is kind of archaic, and there are many other practices around the world that support health, possibly in a much more organic, meaningful, and effective way. So why wouldn't you adapt Ayurvedic medicine? Because of people. So I'm still kind of in the zone. In the lesbian community years ago, there was a term, oh, so-and-so is politically correct. And sometimes it was worn as a badge of honor that we observed every little custom or lack of custom. And sometimes it was a aspersion, like, so politically correct. It was sort of like to be rigid and hidebound like that. And it just, for me, thinking that being accused of cultural appropriation, perhaps unfairly, and perhaps fairly, but unfairly, part of me just wants to celebrate that we are a melting pot, and that there are so many beautiful things in life, continuing a long tradition of discovery and celebration.
Yeah. In a lot of spaces, I think the replaced with folk. I think we have one more in the back bed. We'll wrap things up quickly afterwards, but thank you. As far as melting pot and art when it comes to cultural appropriation, there are a few essays on that. And this book I got from the library, Cultural Appropriation, that talked about how maybe Gershwin's Rhapsody in Blue was pretty heavily cribbed from black popular music at the time and not given credit. Mentions how in film, even as you think a thing of the long ago past, but even as recently as 1965, Laurence Olivier won an Oscar for playing in blackface. Anthony Hopkins won critical B-movie for playing in 1981. So it's not something that's low. And while the idea of a melting pot culture can be attractive, cultures feel like all to erase their culture to become a part of American culture, to act white like everybody else, so they can be accepted, kind of generalize who find as other, who hasn't been melted into the melting pot yet, which culture is still different from the rest of us. So while there are some positive aspects of the melting pot, and there's definitely empirical evidence to see that culture in America has been very largely a melting pot with the different, especially like Christmas time, different European traditions that have been blended into Christmas, especially, not necessarily Christian Christmas, but secular celebrations, from logs to Christmas trees to Santa Claus. a lot of cultures feel like they want to keep part of their culture separate and specific to them and not necessarily contribute that or lose it to the melting pot.
First one, yeah, the melting pot, that term, we studied it in culture and, yeah, this, and culture and ethical work is a sign of assimilation and was used by a lot of white supremacists. That idea and that term, we use it. And second of all, I was curious, the author you spoke to, what was of Universalists in general?
She was polite. Reading between the lines, it seemed like she was feeling like we were a group of a bunch of well-meaning white folks that maybe a lot of us accidentally elevate ourselves above other cultures in our efforts to celebrate and even highlight that from the rest of the fray in a lot of ways, and we're in a special position to offer critiques or assessments of other cultures. Like, as I said, comfort the afflicted and afflict the comfortable.
I'm Christina. Sorry, I've got a froggy throat. I think one area that is universally appreciated across cultures is food. And that's somewhere where that's a really wonderful entry into celebrating and enjoying learning about another culture, whether that's with the culture or not. There's just something really beautiful about sharing food and breaking bread together with people from different places.
All right, thank you everyone for your contributions. We're going to do an abbreviated closing hymn. It's going to be number 108 in Singing the Living on an Endless Song. Let's do just the first verse, because it's about time to move on to food. Please stand as you're willing and able.